How's it going, guys? Welcome to Audio Addiction. We have Fencer with us tonight. He can say his name and what he does in the band.
Yeah, thank you for having me. My name is Field Kate. I am the singer and guitar player of the LA rock band Fencer. Yeah, we've got a new record coming out, and
Woo!
I'm excited to be here.
There we go. Well, I want to give a shout outs to, I hope I'm pronunciating her name right, Eter. I'm pretty sure if I,
Eter, pretty
Eter.
close.
Eder,
Yeah,
okay. I've been known to screw up some names, so Eder, thank you. Much love to her for getting Fencer on. In regards to the band, how did Fencer come to be? What is the origin story? I always love hearing about this. This may just like be my music nerd in me, but I absolutely
sure.
love hearing about origin stories. So spare no expense, Field. How did the whole band come together? How did you wind up, getting your people?
Definitely. So we've been doing this now, I think, since maybe February 2017.
Ooh, okay.
And I was jumping around between a few different bands. I didn't really know a lot of musicians.
Hmm.
Out of high school, I basically decided I wanted to do this. I was a child actor for like a decade, and then kind of didn't really know what I was doing through high school, and ultimately found myself in a project that really inspired me to try and actually take this seriously. And so I think I went on some band finder website
Oh,
and
wow.
found a pop punk band. The manager of a pop punk band reached out to me and wanted me to audition as the bass player.
Oh,
Um,
boy.
and I did, and I got in, and I was the bass player of this pop punk band. And the drummer in it was our drummer and fencer, Cameron.
Wow.
And so as we kept doing that for a bit, and he and I started to really vibe and kind of go off and do our own thing. We would hang out and we'd write songs. We called it side project all the time because the singer didn't know. Um, and I'd go over to his house at like 9 p.m. and we'd
Whew.
just hang out and from scratch write a song and do a full demo of it. And I'd be leaving at like 6 a.m. We did this all the time. Um, and so ultimately we decided to leave that band we were in and go do something together. Um, and I was like, well, I should sing because I was a better singer than that guy. And we didn't have a guitar player, so it made sense. So I just kind of quickly taught myself guitar. I had never
Oh,
played
wow.
before. And so we kind of were messing around with different lineups and formations for a few months, trying out a lot of different members, messing around, continuing to write a lot. And yeah, nothing was really clicking. And Cameron's brother, his younger brother,
Mhm.
Scott, was a bass player, but he didn't
Hmm.
really have any interest in doing original music. He wanted to do session stuff. But there were a couple times where while we were like in between members, he would come fill in because we just
Oh,
wanted to keep jamming. We didn't
yeah.
want to like slow down really. And I remember one time, yeah, around like February 2017, the three of us were playing together, and I was like, why don't we just do this? And that the rest is history, as they say. So we've been doing it since then.
That's awesome. I always find it interesting how bands formulate, and I feel like if people who have watched the channel, I say that as like a broken record, but I always find it is something unique to me that I feel like musicians and people who like want to do music are very focused on like wanting to do that. Like it doesn't matter what stands in your way. You're like, I'm gonna make it happen. Maybe I'm the better singer of the two people. Maybe I'm the better guitar player of the band, and you find a way to make it work, and then ultimately, and obviously I'm glad it went on to be Fencer because as I was telling Field before, I had a chance to listen to a couple songs off their new album that comes out on February 3rd, which by the time this comes out it'll be pretty much around that point. And I was like, man, I had not checked this band out. Usually I always try to do my due diligence of checking bands out before I have them on, and I was really surprised because it has this real like grungy feel to it, but then like you take Queen and you just like somehow like smash it into there, and
Sure, sure.
it's so unique, and that was kind of like the first adjective I could like think of, where it's like got this great like rock kind of like all edge to it, but then like a little bit of clean Queen, like a little bit of like operatic kind of things going on there, and I was like, man, this I feel like this would stand out to a lot of people, and I'm fortunate enough to hear it a little bit earlier than most people now. So I feel, thank you for sending the
Of course.
early copy. But it was really interesting, and I'm excited to delve into the rest of it because I feel like if those two songs to start off the bat were really interesting, and then to also check out the music video for Sanitarium, I was like, oh, I should probably like listen to the rest of the album. It's so diverse. So very excited, and that perfectly leads into the next question I have for you, Field, which is, for people who maybe aren't familiar with Fencer, wind up clicking on this video and are like, oh, this guy's really cool. I like this. What song would you recommend to a new listener to check out to give them an idea of your sound?
Interesting. Yeah. I mean, off the EP we have released, our most popular song for sure is a song called Junebug,
Ooh,
which people
okay.
seem to really dig. I feel like we've grown a lot since then, though. So it's a very easily digestible song, and it's quick and catchy and poppy, and so I think people really resonate with that. But off this record, I would definitely say either you go with a, like you were talking about earlier, "Come On, Keep Screaming." I think it's really representative for
Yeah.
what we're all about. I like that you use the term operatic because our kind of like self-defined genre title that we made up is garage opera.
Yeah, that's great. That I think that
That's
perfectly surmises it. Yeah.
yeah. And yeah, Sanitarium's another good one, I think. We try to be as heavy as we can while still being poppy and competitive.
Yeah, yeah.
That's kind of the idea. So, I mean, what at our core, we're a rock band, but there's a couple incredibly light acoustic tracks on the record. There's some really, really heavy stuff.
Ooh,
It kind
okay.
of just jumps all over the place. And I think we found a good order, a track list to make it flow pretty seamlessly. So we're really happy about that.
I love to hear that because I feel like, as someone who has listened to a multitude of albums, it's always cool to me that bands still are collectively thinking about like the layout of the track list because I feel like I always find that to be very interesting. And I think it's
Sure.
also cool because we want to be able to tell that story from front to back. And nothing's more important to me than track listing because sometimes I even get a little in the weeds. I'm like, hey, maybe this song should have been like here, and like
Yeah.
maybe this song should have been here. So I'm very curious. I'm gonna be going through the entire album. I will most likely be doing a live stream review of the album. So come hang out. If this is already out by the time that comes out, the VOD will be up, so go watch that. But I'm very excited to get into it because I like I said, only like around like two ish, three songs in. You definitely have the hooks in my head already, so I definitely feel like you guys find that niche of like having those pop hooks, but also having like that more aggressive like alt kind of like rock sort of tonality to your music. And I'm curious on again how wide of a spectrum it is, from start to finish. So I'm very excited to delve into it. And I also wanted to mention as well, Field. I know you mentioned earlier about being a child actor. Did you always feel like, as you said, you were having a hard time like after being a child actor and getting into music? Did you find that sort of things that you've done as a child actor kind of, you find parallels in making music and playing music live? Because I imagine, you know doing TV as a kid, there's probably you have a live studio audience, stuff like that. Do you find sort of similarities or like parallels to you doing TV work or like film work comparatively to music?
Yeah, I think one of the biggest things that carries over is I bring a lot of theatricality to how
Ooh,
I perform and how
okay.
I sing. It's definitely slightly manic and over the top and a little yeah, very theatrical, combined with kind of our more garage rock roots and stuff. So I think that's the biggest thing that carries over because that was, my whole childhood was
Hmm.
auditioning and um, reading lines and playing parts and etc. I think it definitely helps me be able to be a frontman in the project. I think as I've gotten older, I've become very much less so like how I was when I was younger, of
Sure.
incredibly outgoing and being able to talk to people and things like that. Definitely, as my mental health has deteriorated, my early 20s. That's
I
become
feel
more
that.
difficult. However, I that all goes out the door when I'm on stage. I don't that because I feel like I'm very confident in what we do.
Sure.
And so when I'm able to show that and share that with people, I, I feel my most confident because it's like, all right, now you get kind of what my thing is. And so I am no longer really worried about kind of the people's perception of me because I'm just so I believe in this project so much that I'm like, it's good. It's good. I know it's good. So so I think that's the biggest kind of relation between the two.
Yeah, I find the same thing. I feel like a lot of people, when they see me on here, they're like, "Oh my god, this guy must be like super confident, like, very much in the lane." And
Yeah,
I think I surprised a lot of people when I said that when prior to doing YouTube, I was like quiet, reserved, like didn't when I went to shows, I was like just went to a show, didn't really talk to anybody, just like enjoyed the music and then like maybe say hi to a band, said this was a great show and then picked up some merch and left.
sure.
And now I'm like staying out there, hanging out with, band friends and then as well as that like meeting new people along the way. So I can kind of find a lot of similarities into like doing that and like how you find your your like path or your like niche about doing something, and I feel like it seems like your best self comes out when you're up on stage and performing and stuff like that, which is a great thing. And obviously I hope that, fingers crossed this year you make it out to the East Coast, Philadelphia. I'll be keeping an eye on the social medias. Hopefully you'll be out there by the end of this
We've
year.
been to the East Coast multiple times. Would love to go back. There are some things in the works, so
Oh,
nothing to yet, but we'll be out there.
all right. I'll be keeping an eye out. But I feel like that would really I love seeing a band live, and so I feel like based off of what you're telling me about your live performances and just the band as a whole, I feel like you guys seem like the type of band, at least from my perspective, that you need to see live. Like you're the band that like we're gonna play the record for you, but it may not be perfect, but we're gonna definitely put on that show. So I'm looking forward to it. Hopefully, again, fingers crossed, this year or
Ab-
next.
Yeah,
uh,
for sure.
but the next question I have for you, Field, we kind of touched on it a little bit, but who are your influences? Obviously doing vocals and playing guitar. Who is like kind of the first people that really got you into your perspective instruments, and as well as that, who influences your style more currently now?
Yeah. I mean, it's a super cliche thing of like, oh, my dad got me into music growing up and all that jazz. So I grew up listening to a lot of stuff like the Beatles and all that boring cliche band. Years. Um, I I started really finding some of my own bands that I really dug maybe when I was like 10 or 11. Sum 41 was one of my favorite
Oh,
bands for many years
oh
growing up.
yeah.
And so I think I've been singing like my whole life. I did a lot of musical theater when I was younger, and I've always loved to sing. And I think when I really started trying to pick up an instrument, I was like 13 and I wanted to play bass because I felt like I had to be more unique than guitar.
Fair
Um,
enough.
so I did that for many years. And ultimately, I was really into the band Royal Blood. And so
Oh.
when they were first coming out, and so I started making my bass sound like a guitar through a bunch of pedals, which ultimately just ended up me playing guitar because that was the natural evolution of that. I'm not very good at guitar. I play what we write and definitely pull it off. You would never know, but it's more so just a tool for me and our songwriting.
Sure,
Um,
yeah.
yeah, influences. I mean, a whole variety of things. I mean, there's lots of stuff I love, but I think ultimately it just kind of funnels into a mix of all our influences, and we like catchy rock music across the spectrum, whatever that is, softer, more aggressive, everything like that. And so I think one of the biggest things for us is when we go into songwriting, when I'm writing something, I love gimmicks. I love songs having an individuality to them.
Yeah, yeah,
And
yeah.
so if there's some kind of, you know, gimmick that can kind of create the entire song, and base it around that, that's something we love to focus on. And that's all over this record, but I think it works really well. And at least to us, each song feels like it flows together, but it really kind of has its own thing going on. There's a lot of records that just are, all the songs are very similar, and there's some fantastic ones that do that,
Sure,
but
yeah.
that's just not the approach we've taken. So I don't know, kind of a non-answer to your question.
No, I feel like for me, and just kind of again listening to the like earlier half of the record, it feels like each song, if you were to take them out as singles, like they have their own individuality, like they're very much in like you know what type of song you're getting into as soon as you press the play button and you listen to it.
Sure.
But also at the same point, if you put them all together in the album, I'm sure storyline wise they line up, track listing wise they line up, and I think that that's what's impressive to me is that if you're able to take a song out and it still has that same sort of like flow or meaning to it on its own soloed, and then has more of an influence as a larger picture when you put it together in the album. That's to me one of the coolest things about people writing music and putting them together, because Lord knows I don't have that type of creativity to do that. So for me to listen to other people, do all that sort of legwork is amazing, and I think it inspires me to, get more into writing music and listening a little bit more intently. So very excited to get into your self-titled album, because do feel like I am going to get a lot of enjoyment out of it. So again, guys, I'll put a stream link. Go check it out after this. But
Hope so.
the next thing is, and I'll also preface too, I think the two bands that kind of came to mind when I was listening to Fencer was, as I mentioned previously, I felt like there's a strong Queen vibe. And then I'd also say Nirvana. I feel like those two, if those two bands had a baby, that would be this band. Like,
Those are
so
good ones. I like that. We don't get the Queen thing very often.
really,
I appreciate that a lot.
okay,
That's a
cool.
fun. So
I
yeah,
feel like is that first song, the "Come On, Keep Screaming," like that to me, no pun intended, definitely screamed like Queen, like Queen vibes, like some of like the
cool.
like some of the musical like things that like I've heard Queen songs do well. I think you guys absolutely just killed it on. Like I think it was a lot of like the little like vocal edits and stuff. It felt very like
Sure.
Queen like, and I was like, okay, this is. And then you said like the operatic garage band, and I was like, okay, it's all starting to kind of like all the pieces are starting to line up. So that's, to me at least,
Thank
those
you.
are the two
Very
bands that I
kind
think of.
compliment. If we can be even 5% as good as Queen, that's all I could ever ask for. So
I feel like you guys are at least 30%.
hey man, that's a great ratio. That's
I'm not gonna
a
say like close to 100% because I feel like then at that point, I'm not trying to have the ego bust through the ceiling here, but I
sure.
feel like you guys are at like a cool like 30-40% like Queen vibes, and then like 60% Nirvana. I think that's, to me, the vibes. If you like either of those bands, which if you listen to music and you have good ears, you're gonna love both of those bands, obviously. So please go check out Fencer. They're great. But the next question I have for you, Field, is one of my personal favorites. I always love asking this question: is what are you currently listening to? What's on the Spotify? What have you been jamming recently?
Yeah. Oh gosh, I always panic when I get this question because I never know. I gotta open my Spotify.
It's all right.
Most recently, Canadian band July Talk. They're
Mm,
fantastic. They just put out a new record
okay,
um, very recently, and I've been digging that a lot.
I have to check it
Gosh,
out.
what else? I feel like that's the most recent thing. The Happy Fits, which are a New Jersey kind of
Ooh,
indie rock, pop rock band. They put out a new
hmm,
album a few months ago called Shades of Green, I think, something like that.
we'll check.
And that's
I'll double
great.
check.
Listening to that a lot too. Um, hmm, yeah, I feel like those are some of the main things. There was a really popular one I was listening to recently that I was digging. Can't remember now. Oh, I'm a big Weezer fan, even though they're all over the place. I love Weezer.
Nice.
They're the fourth EP of their Seasons quadrilogy.
Yeah.
Weezer. Um, that came out, and I've been digging on that a lot because it's way better than the other three, and it just continues to. They put out fantastic records, and then not so, and then suddenly out of nowhere, when they don't have it anymore, they put something fantastic out. So I've been really into those are three.
They're I feel like their whole discography is like a rough mess, you know, like you've got
Sure.
some like really good ones and then you have some like really not great ones and then you have some like mid-tier ones and then you have some like really good ones towards the end. I feel like I haven't listened to any of the season EPs, but I feel like I have to now listen to the winter one
You can
because
just listen to the winter one, but
just the
it's so funny. It's so funny because they'll put out like some of their worst albums, like numerous back to back, which they did somewhat recently. And you're like, oh, they're getting old. They
they're
don't have it anymore.
sandbagging. Yeah.
And Okay Human, which they put out in 2021, is
Yeah.
like up there with Pinkerton and Blue Album, like one of the best things they've done. And it's just like, what are they doing? How does this happen? And then they follow that up with Van Weezer, which wasn't that good. And it's
Yeah.
like, all
It's
right,
like,
I don't
yeah,
know
it's
what's
okay.
going on over there. They're all over the place, but when they hit really hard. It's
I
great.
just feel bad for their manager. I feel like every day he's like, or she's living in constant fear of either like having a job or not having a job. They're like,
They're
depending upon
easier.
how
They'll
this,
sell anyways.
I don't know how they continue. Like, there's, like you said, there's albums where you're like, okay, they're like killing it, crushing it. And then you're like, then they follow it up with like an absolutely mid or low tier album. And you're like, how? How did you wrote this like a
Yeah.
year ago and then you wrote this album right after? Like how did you use all of your energy on this out? Like I feel like they're an athlete, right? You have like a bunch of good seasons and then like you blow
Sure.
your ACL out and then you're shit for like three albums and then they come back and they're like, so I got the surgery done, and then they just start cranking out like massive albums and then they get hurt again. That's my comparison. I'm not a sports guy whatsoever, but that's what I imagine. They're like, if you had to like put Weezer as like an athlete, they're like the most like mid to high tier athlete, but gets hurt constantly. So
Constant ankle
constant
sprains.
ankle sprains all the time.
Yeah.
So shout outs to Weezer. If you want to come on, I know I kind of like shit on you a little bit, but you know, whatever. You guys watch my stuff, so I
Go
appreciate it.
listen to Okay Human. I don't know how many people heard that record. It's phenomenal.
I
Go listen.
can co-sign that. That is a fantastic
Yeah.
record. Yeah, agreed. As much as I love the Blue album, that's still Chef's Kiss. That's my favorite.
Sure. Of course.
Um, but I'll have to check out those bands field. I always love asking this question because then my work is never done as a music YouTuber.
Yeah.
Always trying to find the best new music to check out. So definitely a good one. The next
Cool.
question I have for you, Field, another fun one. Speaking about, we did talk about Weezer and doing cover songs. If there was a song that you would like to cover in Fencer, what song would you like to cover?
Well, we actually already did it. One of the tracks on the record, I think track 3, which is Buena, which we released as
Ooh,
a single, is by a 90s jazz band called Morphine. And
ooh,
that was one of my favorite songs of theirs. I think it's a great one. And we completely rewrote it from the ground up. So, very excited about that. I think our idea moving forwards is we kind of want to do a cover per album and just have
ooh.
it completely point in doing a cover unless you absolutely do entirely your own thing with it.
Oh yeah.
So that's, I feel like, what we did with Buena, and I have a really great idea for the next one, but I don't even want to say it because it's I want it to be a complete surprise.
Okay, fair
Um,
enough.
but I do there's a handful that we think about, but we would never do something like similar in our genre. I mean, because I don't see the point of doing that.
Yeah,
Anything that's too straightforward rock or something, unless we have something to say with it,
sure.
right?
Yeah.
Um, but the next one that I have planned that I'm working on, I'm very excited about. It's off a Disney soundtrack, so totally something completely different.
Wow. All right, all right. That gives. I feel like that. I'm in my brain. I'm thinking about some songs, but I don't know if they're right, and I don't want to say it in case I am right because I feel like if anything, it may be written on your face. So,
I'll tell
um,
you off the air.
okay, great. I I want to try to guess first, so I will try to
Sure.
guess, and then you could tell me. But yes, guys, listen, Fencer already has some great covers. Buena, I'm very excited to listen to. But if you have any suggestions for them, drop them in the comments. I can't guarantee that they'll do them, but at least the option is out there. So go drop a comment down below and let us know what song you'd like to hear them cover. But the next question I have for you, Field, what is your favorite food to eat?
Ooh. Another, I feel like, generic answer, but sushi is definitely my favorite. It's such a fun,
Oh
involved
yeah.
experience. The food is so colorful, very tasty. Love it. I've been to Tokyo a couple times,
Ooh.
and I'm just a huge fan. So it's a very. I feel like everyone at this point that's everyone's favorite food, but yeah, I don't think there's anything like it as far as like an experience eating. So.
I agree. I'm a sushi fiend. Do you have a specific like go to roll that you're like if you sat down at a restaurant and you're just like I have to you see it on the menu, you're like I have to get this. This is like a go to every time.
Well, I'm pretty open to most things. I like trying different stuff. I definitely prefer nigiri to rolls. A
Ooh, all
good
right.
salmon or an albacore nigiri, that's my stuff. But my favorite thing to do is just to go up to a sushi bar and ask the chef, be like, just make me whatever you feel like today, whatever's exciting you.
Oh, that's great.
Was good today. Just keep giving me stuff till I'm done. And that's, I think, the best way to do it because then you get a great variety of delicious things. And it's always the best when if the chef is excited about making it, it's going to be
Oh yeah.
the best version of that, whatever it is that you can get. So.
What was the most wildest one that like when you if you went out to someone you're like, "Hey, just give me what you're feeling like the most stoked about." Was there one that you were like, "Oh shit, I didn't think that one would be that good, but it turned out really good."
Um, Gosh, I'm trying to think. Not usually when I do that, they don't give me anything too crazy as far as like, oh gosh, I don't want that. I ordered quail egg once, which was a raw like little quail egg that you were supposed to shoot. That was a little much for me. Um,
That's fair.
it was a little
That's
excessive. And
fair.
then
That's
I was
fair.
at a place once where I didn't have it, but there was a dude where like one of the special items were like these live little baby crabs that were like squirming around, and you pick them up and just eat them. One can't do. I was a vegetarian for 17 years. Even though I'm eating meat, I don't support the killing of animals for food. So that is just a little. That's a little
That's
too
all
far.
over. Yeah. Yeah.
And also, I'm horrified of bugs and anything that crawls around. So had no interest in participating in that.
That's fair. Oh my god. I That is the first. I have not heard that. I mean, obviously I've had my fair share of sushi, but not live miniature crabs. That's definitely
Yeah,
not on the menu.
couldn't handle that. So
Oh, guys, let us know. Have you had that before? I need to know in the comments. That's too wild for my taste. But uh, the next question I have for you, Field, is if you were to have a dream collaboration on an up and coming Fencer song, who would you absolutely love to work with?
gosh, no one. No one. I think I mean, collaboration, maybe certain like producers or something like that, but no other artist. I mean, we're our own project and we do
Wow.
our own thing. That's not to say that we're above working with anyone
No,
else at
yeah,
all.
yeah.
It's just it's our thing, and I don't think we're the type of band to go do a collaborative song or something. Definitely some fun producers to work with. I mean, all the great ones. I wouldn't be picky at all. But I mean, this album is all self produced, and we've learned a lot doing that, and that's been a very exciting process. So I don't know. I think the reason we sound the way we do is because it's myself, Cameron, and Scott. we do it all. We do it ourselves, and that is what made this album sound the way it does. And so that's all we're interested in. And then, our sound will continue to evolve, I'm sure. But the whole thing for us is that it's the three of us. And whatever genre, whatever we create with the three of us is how we sound. So, yeah.
No, I absolutely respect that answer. I know I made like the real like typical YouTube shocked face, but I was because usually people are like, yeah, let me work with like and that's nothing against their answers because I think
No, yeah, no, that's
collabs are cool, but I think I have to appreciate your answer the most because I feel like sometimes I feel like you guys are just like, oh well, we're just unadulterated. We're just gonna do what we want to do, and like we have our core sound and the three members that make up our band, like both you, Scott, and Cameron. I think that that's such a cool thing, and I do have to say that you guys have very much an eclectic sound. So, the byproducts of having someone else feature on one of your songs would be a very interesting process, I'm sure. I wouldn't say it's impossible, but I would definitely say it would be
sure.
more of a difficult process, certainly.
I'd much prefer to go right with or for somebody else, but not involving Fencer. I think Fence and the guys are on board with me on this. Of like, this project and this band is just us, and we don't necessarily want that influence otherwise. Because I get the question too of like, oh, who would you have? Like, I don't think other artists need that from us either. Like, I mean, I get the question of like, who would you want to open for you on tour? If anyone could, if you could have Metallica open for you or something. I'm like, I don't want. Why would Metallica, even if we were huge, why would they open for us? Like, that's a disservice to other bands. It's like we would want smaller, unknown like bands like
Yeah.
that we admire to do things like that. I don't need my yeah, I don't need the White Stripes to come back and be on a bill with us or something, right? Like I don't know.
Metallica is a great local band. I don't know what you're talking about. I couldn't even say that
One
with.
of my
I
one of my
tried very
favorite
hard to
bands.
say that with a straight face.
Yeah.
No, it's in my years of doing this, which will be 7 in like a couple weeks, which is kind of wild to me. But this is the first time I've been kind of a little bit shocked where like I appreciate the answer a lot because for me, like people would give me that answer straight out the gate. They know like, oh, okay, this is like who would fit well with our style and stuff like that. But I also find that when people are like, yeah, I'm not, really big into the collab thing or like we have our sound and like we have our way of going about things and, maybe it is not conducive for someone else. And that's obviously not to discount any other band that wants to work with Fencer
Totally
or what.
cool with anyone else who does that. I just think for us, the writing credits are shared equally between the three of us, and we wouldn't want to release a song where that isn't a consistent theme.
Sure, yeah.
So that's just our pretentious decision for this band. So
It's listen, I don't feel like anybody would take a lot of offense to that. I think it's just, I think it's the nature of being like this is what I want, this is what I believe, and like this is a part of, our journey as Fencer. So, I gotta give you a lot of salutes for standing your ground. I feel like sometimes people are just like, yeah, I'm just gonna say something, but I appreciate the fact that you guys really think about it and are cognitive in the sense of like this is what we are, this is what we do, and like we want to just make it us three and have it be the best possible version of Fencer. So absolutely love that. I will comment on the producers because I did read in the notes here. You went with Henry as well as Zach Fisher, who has done mastered albums such as like Weezer, Rancid, Bad Religion. How did you guys go about finding both Henry and Zach to do the mix and master on this album? Because I got to give them a lot of salutes. It sounds fantastic. So big kudos to those
yeah.
guys. But were they the first people you guys reached out to, or were there some others in the in the lineup that you guys were considering?
Sure. Yeah. So we produced the entire album, just the three of us.
Yes, yeah.
All the producing was just us. All the writing, etc., engineering, all that jazz. Henry Lunetta is great. He's a friend of a friend introduced me to him, and he just really was able to kind of understand the sound we were going for,
Sure.
and got excited about it. Got excited about what we were doing, and we ran into him early enough in the process of thinking about making an album and stuff that it just made a lot of sense. And I wanted somebody who was going to be really excited about doing it.
Sure. Yeah.
And he was able to make, yeah, it sounds great. He had so much influence over how this album sounds. He was able to take these garbage recordings we would send him and suddenly make them into not garbage, by the way. Cameron would get very offended with that. They sounded very good. But he was able to take them to a new level and really do them justice, essentially. And that was great. Zach is awesome. He's mainly a producer. He owns this gorgeous studio in LA called Big Bad Sound, and we had worked with him. He mixed a few songs off our first EP that
Ooh. Okay.
came out, and then we have we're already we're this album's old news for us, so we're excited to put out. But we already have a couple things on the horizon in the future that we went in and had him produce with us. But he's honestly, he's so great at everything he does, and we can't afford him. So we wanted him involved, and so the only thing we could afford to have him do was master the album. And so we did, and I wanted to keep the personnel who made this album as tiny as possible. So really, it's just the five of us, everything.
Oh wow.
We
Okay.
produced the whole thing, wrote it all, engineered it all. Henry mixed the whole thing, and Zach mastered the whole thing, and that's it.
Whew.
And a great photographer named Heather Coop shot the album cover. But that's it. That's as far as like the listening experience, it's just us, and that was important to us. So
Big salutes again, Henry and both Zach. I like the mix and master on this was fantastic. I would definitely recommend for people to listen to it in like good headphones. Obviously, mine are like semi decent, but I would definitely recommend listening to it in better headphones. Obviously, the foam on my headphones are really just fucked up. So I just want to say that am getting new foam. So for people asking, it's coming.
good to hear. Good to
Uh,
hear.
uh, the next
I
question.
listen to most of my music in AirPods, so I can't even speak.
Yeah, I feel like at least one of my friends will comment and be like, "Yo, man, are you getting new headphones?" I'm like, "These aren't broken. The foam just looks really terrible." So yes, I am getting new like earpieces for this, so I can stop getting crucified for having very poor
Sure.
poor foam quality here. Um, the next question I have for you, Field. Obviously, you do vocals and you also play guitar, and also bass as well. But if there is another musical instrument you can master, what would it be?
Oh, definitely piano. I'm not very handy with instruments or musically like diverse. Not as far as like writing or stuff like that. I definitely think my strong suit is writing and singing.
Hmm.
Um, and I think I have a unique approach to how I write the guitar in our songs, just because there's only one guitar and and I control basically all the melodies in the band.
Sure. Yeah.
But yeah, I think piano for like songwriting and everything, totally different approach. And I wish I had started lessons when I was like 4 and I hated them, but I had no idea that this would be something that I would be doing someday. So, um, yeah, I also don't really, I don't have the greatest work ethic when it comes to like practicing instruments. So, I'm not, that's why it's like, I'm really great rhythmically at guitar. You won't hear me soloing unless there's something already written. It's not a piece of we usually use. Um, so let alone me trying to dive in and learn a whole new instrument. So I just kind of stay away. I also kind of like my limitations on instruments and lack of knowing lots of them. I think makes my songwriting more unique because it's a different approach, different angle. So I'm kind of somewhat resistant to getting any better at guitar or learning any other instruments.
Man, I feel there's a lot of resistance coming through this like video screen, I feel it
Absolutely.
already started with, the no collab. Now we're talking about not learning a new instrument. I feel
I
like,
think
yeah.
the less skills I have, the more interesting what I do will be.
Okay, I could see that. I could see that certainly. I feel like the the way that you go about it is in more of a creative way as opposed to just being like, okay, well, I could do this on piano, but if I really painstakingly spend hours on the guitar trying to figure it out, then that's the way to go.
I usually write just vocally anyways. I don't even every once in a while I'll come up with something on guitar, but I come up with guitar and bass and vocal melodies just like singing them.
I feel
Most of
that.
the songs as we write, I'll just like layer a bunch of vocal tracks and like voice memos on my phone and kind of build songs that way. I don't like writing on guitar because I feel like I end up playing similar things over and over to like what I would naturally play on guitar. Vocally, I don't have really any limitations,
Fair enough, yeah.
so that's kind of how I like writing
I
mostly.
also feel like musicians are the only breed of humans that like you could just be like, yeah, so the song goes beep boop bop bop ba dip boop bop, and then you're like, no, I think it should go like beep bop bop beep bop. And then I already knew
Like
what I
Mr.
was saying.
Krabs.
Yeah,
It's like Mr. Krabs and the robot song.
that is that every time I watch that scene of SpongeBob, I feel like, they understood, like they unlocked a part of my brain that I didn't know I needed to know, and now I can't unlock it. The door's
Yep.
been opened up, and now I can just, speak music to other people, and they're like, "Oh, no, that's cool. I like that. I like that melody. That's a cool one. What do you think about this melody?" And then they do their thing, and I'm like, "No, that's kind of cool. I like that too." So,
Yeah,
if you're a music lover, then you're part of the music guild here, but if not, then, you gotta brush up, so um, it's like Gaelic or something, or like on that sort of level of music. Uh,
for sure.
the next question I have for you, Field, I did notice that you're quite the video game fan, much like myself. So I feel like this question is going to be served up, hot and fresh for you. I am a
Absolutely.
huge nerd. I love asking this question. If you could be a video game character, who would you be?
Ah, growing up, I would have said Tidus from Final Fantasy X.
Ooh, all
I
right, all
always
right.
imagined I was like, I want to go on some adventure and I want to do that. Um, I don't know. Being a video game character, I mean, uh, Ren Amamiya, Joker from Persona 5,
Ooh,
would be
yes.
another fun one, but that would just be, I mean, living a different life, right? Like I living that life would have been really cool. I don't necessarily want to be anyone. Like I'm fine being myself, but I mean, any Persona game I think would be really fun to kind of live through. Um, that just seems like a really cool experience. I don't know. That's an interesting one. Those are my two off the top of my head. I'm sure I could come up with something better if I
If
thought
you really think
hard.
about it.
Those are two. I've definitely been playing Persona 5. Like this would be awesome. I wish I was this. I wish I was living this life. So
That's fair. Joker is a great choice. I love the Persona games. I feel like I have to get into them a little bit more. I came on to Persona games because of I'm a huge Smash Brothers fan, and obviously
yeah,
he got added to Smash Brothers, and I was like, who is this cool character? And I was just like, first of all, he's broken, which
apparently I hear that he's like one of
he
the top tier ones in
oh
Smash.
he's broken, broken.
Yeah,
Shout outs to Go MKLeo for all my Smash fans out there. All two of you, much appreciate, much
I know.
appreciate.
It's like they never added what's the netcode thing that they didn't do that they should have to make it like where there's not just like freezing in the online. What's the name?
Oh,
Rollback.
rollback, yeah,
They
rollback,
didn't
yeah.
add rollback, so now the game's just dying because there's no like you can't play it online. Every time I try and play that game online, it's just awful. But it's so good, so
It
good. I
is,
don't know.
yeah. So I feel that, but and yet I feel like I'm part masochist because I still do it anyway. But I love
When
it.
it works, but
When it works, it's great. When it's shit, it's just like like it's like dial up. It's so bad. So, but yeah, I fell in love with Persona games much after Joker was added to Smash, and I was like, I gotta check these games out. So, big salutes to Persona. Love the answer. If you do have any more field, just DM me on Instagram, and I'll put just a
you up,
scrolling.
yeah.
I'll put a scrolling list of your answers. I imagine you'll have more than one, but it's okay. I'll I know you're a true video game fan, so I'll throw them in there. But the next question I have for you, Field. I'm very curious how you're going to answer this one, much like many of the other questions I've asked you today. If you were to compile a dream tour lineup, including Fencer, who would you love to take out?
Oh, to take us out, I mean, I feel like I approach this from very much like a business mindset of what kind of tours we would look for at the moment, like that would make sense for a band our size and bands that would make sense for us to be introduced to their audience and stuff like that. So I mean, any of these larger bands that are kind of paving the way to bring some heavier music back right now. Um, I mean, we've toured a bunch with Bad Flower, and so I know
Ooh,
they're a great one to kind of doing that. But we've already done that, so let me think. Like I don't know. It's any of these bigger rock bands right now, like a Cleopatra, a Highly Suspect, a Royal Blood, anything like that. Just based on solely based on the audience and what they're doing in the industry right now. So it's a different approach to it. I don't particularly. I don't know. I'm not like trying to go out on tour with a band that I'm like, oh, that would be my dream to just do. Like what we want to do is we want to just tour more and get in front of people and build the band. That's what we want to do. So and touring is awesome. It's so fun. So and you know what? I'm sure all of these guys from everything I just listed, I'm sure they're all cool and fun to hang out with. So I'm not like eager specifically for one or the other, because it would just be just give us a support slot on a tour that is set up that there will be people at, and we will have a blast. Um, and I'm sure we'll get along with whoever. So
I
that's
I
it's
just
kind of
been
fun.
loving Fields' answers. He is just like, I don't give a shit who comes out to these shows. If there's people that show up and they're,
Just fucking put
excited.
us back on tour. Yeah, we just want a good support from us. That's all it is.
I respect that. That's a great move. I feel like a lot of bands, not that again, going having a dream lineup is great, good things to shoot for. I'm a big believer in like manifestation and putting it out there, but I just feel like, Fencers just like get us on tour. That's our dream, is just to continue to
Yeah,
come
we
out to see
just
you
need to
guys.
do it more. We've done it a good amount, and it's gotten the hook in us. We got the bug, so we just gotta keep doing it. And to what you were saying earlier, I mean, I think we really excel in our live show, and so especially like when we get out to the Midwest, East Coast, that you have all these moms and dads, and there's kids who just like are super into what we're doing, and it's great. We love the reception. We love being able to share what we do with people who dig it. So that's kind of the mentality, I think.
So, moral of the story is, guys, if you just want to see Fencer tour your city, just make sure to just like tag every band underneath the sun that's touring
Go
right
listen to
now.
the album. Just stream it,
Just
share it
stream
with
the
a friend.
shit out of it. Stream the shit out of this album. Buy it. If you buy albums, I personally buy albums, so I'll be picking it up. But you should
We'll
stream
have
it.
a we're about to announce a bunch of new merch and
Woo!
CDs
Woo!
and eventually vinyl, but
Woo!
that's still a process. So
Oh.
there will be things to buy. Just buy something. Listen to our. If you don't want to, that's fine. Go listen to Fish Friend. I don't go watch the Fish Friend music video. I don't think that video got enough love. It's great. Go
All right,
watch it.
we'll drop a link in the description, guys. Go check out Fish Friend. I will patiently be waiting vinyl. I am very much a vinyl head, so I will I'm gonna make sure to send you this on a daily basis. Field, just like where's it at? Okay, that would be a little
I don't
nuts.
know if you've heard, man. Vinyl production, pretty fucking volatile.
Yeah, yeah.
Please take a sec.
You don't have to tell
We
me.
also have to like remix all of our songs for it because they're way too hot right now, and loud. And so we got to go back. I'm figuring it all out, but
Okay.
it's give me a second. I'm trying to get this album out right now. We've got our release show happening next Friday, focusing on that.
My
So
man's at work. I gotta give you credit. Kudos to Field. My man's putting that work in.
hard enough for me to get out of bed every fucking day.
I
So
feel that.
let alone pioneer an artistic, creative endeavor.
Well, I
So
do want to say I'm glad I got out of bed and I got to interview Field. That's this has been the highlight of the day so far. So
oh, thank
the
you,
day
man.
is very much almost to an end, but go check out Fencer. I'm gonna keep saying it a bunch more times, so I hope you don't get tired of me saying it. But
Not at all.
the next question I have for you, Field, I imagine you have seen many a shows in your time, but who puts on a great live performance in terms of the bands you've seen?
I mean, literally off the top of my head, that band I mentioned before, the Happy Fits,
Ooh, okay.
from New Jersey. Scott and I went to a show they did in LA at the Troubadour, where they played their entire discography, and
Wow.
those guys are just out of their minds. How good they are. Funny enough, the next band I'll say, one of my favorite bands who no longer are around, because I feel like every one of my favorite artists breaks up,
Oh.
um, all the time. It keeps happening. I wish it would stop. But it was a band called Deal Casino, who
Oh yes, I know Deal Casino. Oh yeah.
also from New Jersey, right in the same area as Happy Fits. I don't know what they're doing over there, but they're making some really great music. And we toured with Deal Casino. We were lucky enough to do a tour with them with Bad Flower in 2019.
Woo.
And I was lucky enough before they broke up to see them like 15 nights in a row. And just a great example of like just a magical synergy between those guys. And of course, Joe P, the lead singer, he's still doing his thing. And now he has actually reached more success than Deal Casino ever had, doing his own solo artist career, and he's still making great stuff. The guy's brilliant, but there was something about that lineup of those four guys that was just magical, and it really messed with my head a lot because we were first of three on that lineup, and they were
Oh.
right after us. And even though we put on a good show, I could not fathom them going on and just putting on the best show I've ever seen every night right after us. I was just like, oh, I couldn't deal with it. So definitely that. And I love Jack White whenever I get to see him. He always puts on a great show, and all of his sets are so unique because of the no set list and everything. So those are some go tos.
I'm glad you mentioned Deal Casino. They're great. Big
Great.
salutes. I am originally from New Jersey, so much salutes. I've
You
seen
got to
my
go
fair
check
share.
out Happy Fits. I'm surprised you haven't heard of them.
Yeah, that one is a big surprise for me because usually I'm pretty ear to the ground in terms of Jersey bands. So maybe I have listened to them and just didn't like this. My brain is turning into mush. So that is a very good chance. You guys are just seeing you're just seeing my brain turn to mush. So by the next interview, I'll be like arguably worse. So
Deal Casinos LLC, one of the best albums ever made, in my opinion. That's in my top three for sure, easily.
ooh,
I
all
think
right.
LLC is, I just want to shout it out. If you haven't heard that, you're doing yourself a disservice.
Well, guys, again, check out Deal Casino. I can also get by that because I actually have seen them. So go check out Deal
Great.
Casino.
Yeah. Cool.
Fantastic band. Next question I have for you, Field. Favorite TV show, favorite movie?
Ooh, favorite TV show. I don't know. I have a really generic answer. But I mean, I probably a Breaking Bad, which is boring, but
It's great cinema.
really
So,
great. My girlfriend and I have been slowly but surely getting through Better Call Saul right now. I think we just hit season 5, so getting
whew.
there, getting there. That's great too. I'm trying to think what else. I loved the first 2 seasons of Homeland, which was
Ooh,
an older show. That was
yeah.
great. Um, The Walking Dead, it was like an obsession of mine for many, many years, but I feel like everyone else, it totally fell off in the last many seasons. But like the first few seasons of Walking Dead, badass, great. Movies, I love The Shawshank Redemption. I always say that is one of my
Ooh,
favorites.
that's a good one.
Gotta think what else. I have not been. Honestly, there's so little time to consume media, and I generally play video games when I there. That's my favorite like
Oh, yeah.
method of storytelling. So when I have that time and I'm not watching something like with my girlfriend or something, I generally will play games. So I've definitely missed a lot of good movies and shows over the last many years. But I try to every once in a while. I saw the new Avatar recently. It was fine. It was really
I feel like people are either just, like, over the moon about the Avatar movie, or they're just like, "Yeah, it's okay. That's alright. It was
yeah, it
good."
was good. It was cool. It looked pretty. Uh, it was so long. I was like, wow, this is why I play. This is why I have so little time to dedicate to media. I should have just been,
Playing
you
video
know,
games.
playing through God of War Ragnarok. You know,
I feel that as I literally am currently looking at my Nintendo Switch on my desk right now, so I feel that. Oh, yeah, let's go.
I'm excited for this interview to end, honestly, and to leave you so I can keep playing the new Fire Emblem. So
Oh, nice. Well, listen, I'll be upset.
I'm just messing.
You're like, I'm just waiting for Brandon to shut the fuck up so I can start playing some Fire Emblem again. As you know, as a true gamer, I respect that. It might have hurt my ego a little bit, but I respect the move. Uh,
I'm messing around. I'm having a great time,
oh, I
and
know
I
you
know I
are.
will also have a great time playing Fire Emblem.
Fair enough. There we go. I love it. Well, I will say we are getting closer to the end, so it will be great. But the next question I have for you, Field, if you were trapped on a desert island for the next month and there was one album you could bring with you to listen to, what album would that be?
Um, well, I already mentioned LLC by Deal Casino, one of the first ones that comes to mind. Um, Get Behind Me, Satan by the White Stripes.
Ooh, yeah.
Another one that I think of. That's one of my favorites. Yeah, I would say one of those two probably. There's a great artist called Forrest Day. No one knows who he is,
Hmm.
but his first album, which is also called Forrest Day, is up there. I could listen to that endlessly as well. So
I'll
um,
have to check out that one. I have not listened to that, so I'll have to give it
Forrest
a
Day is
listen.
awesome. Yeah, definitely.
Very cool. The last question that I have for you, and then I'll obviously let you talk all the tea about Fencer. But you know, as a music interviewer, and obviously this is something I'm very passionate about. I love doing this. This is something I'll probably do until I'm very old. But for me, I always love having musicians on and just being able to shoot the shit. It's always a cool thing to get to know other people and the things that they do. But I want to know, Field, why is music such an important thing to you? Why is it something that you put a lot of heart, a lot of effort into? Because I think a lot of the times when I have musicians on, we think about like the new album that's coming out, or like the new songs that are coming out, or like the album's already out, or whatever, or we're going on
Yeah,
tour. We never really think about who writes the music, why they choose to write it, and who they're writing it for, and the reasons they do it. So, why is music such an important thing in your life? And, why do you continue to do it and share that experience with other people?
yeah, it's fun. There are no rules. It's a really different dynamic coming from the entertainment industry and like acting and stuff
Hmm.
because they're always so closely correlated, but they're so completely different. Where like there's one of the coolest things and absolutely one of the worst things about music and the music industry is that there is no clear roadmap to success whatsoever.
Oh, yeah.
uh, Actor, you go on your auditions. You audition, you get something, you get callbacks, you book it. Cool, you keep doing that. That's the route. But in music, it's like, okay, go figure it out. Well, what do we do? I don't know. Go write a song.
Whatever.
Okay. Yeah. And the landscape changes like daily. It's like you trying to keep up with whether it's streaming or TikTok or whatever the hell is going on. And so with songwriting specifically, I don't know. One, I've always loved singing. Singing is one of my favorite things. I think I'm good at singing and I really enjoy it. So that's a huge part of it for me. But songwriting, as I've discovered that in the last many years, it's so fun to create the music that I would want to hear. That's like,
Yeah.
I listen to my own music constantly. Cameron does too. We listen to our shit all the time. And a lot of people don't like listening to what they do. And I don't mean for that to come off pretentious. It's just that like it's we're making the music that doesn't exist that we would want to.
Sure.
We're
Yeah.
making
No.
our ideal thing to listen to because that's what we're doing.
Sure. Yeah.
Um, for us, I'm not saying for everyone, but for between the three of us,
Yeah.
that's what we're doing, and so um, that's fun. That's fun. It's fun to share that with other people. It's fun to be able to. It's like showing someone your favorite album or something, or
Yeah.
introducing your a friend to a new band. It's like we're the band we like. So I love to be able to share that with people of
Sure.
what I'm passionate about and stuff like that, and sing and be able to have people, create their own meaning to whatever I have my own meanings of why certain songs are the way they are, whatever. But as soon as someone else hears that, that's up to them to figure that out, and that's cool. I think. Um, I just love the process of songwriting and how there are no rules and how you can just try and our whole mentality is just to just do cool things. And that's all I like and look for in any music of any genre. I'm like, are they doing cool things? Oh, they are cool. Yeah, then I fuck with it. I I used to play a lot of Yu-Gi-Oh, which is a children's trading card game.
Oh, I know Yu-Gi-Oh. You don't have to tell
Yeah,
me. I got you.
I I played a lot of Yu-Gi-Oh, and I got obsessed with the way you build decks in that game and the theory behind it and everything. And that totally influenced so much of my life, which is a really weird thing to say, but like I approach songwriting. I don't think I would be as good at songwriting as I feel that maybe I am. Not to like suck my own dick or anything, but like I feel that I wouldn't be able to do that the way I do without having played that game and learning how like the way I would approach trying to build funny, unique decks with gimmicks and certain archetypes, but still try to make it competitive and play into the meta and stuff like
Yeah.
that. It's like a fun little puzzle songwriting and being able to do it with the intent of trying to also find some kind of success. Which I don't think there's anything wrong with because I don't think it takes away any integrity of ours to try and like play our cards wrong and not what would work and try and make it work.
It's
To
the heart of
try
the
and
cards.
exactly heart of cards, trying to win some regionals with a deck that is shitty. You know, and so we like I think about streaming and how the music landscape has changed a lot when I'm songwriting, and I don't think that takes away from our artistic vision. It just kind of influences it in a fun, challenging way. It's like if you want to be good at a card game, you better know what's good right now.
The
You better know
strategies.
what
Oh yeah.
wins, what meta. That doesn't mean you have to play it, but you should be familiar with it and probably take some of those strategies into consideration while still making it unique and cool and maybe a little different than what they would do. So that's my super dorky answer.
I listen. You're playing into all the strengths here for me. Again, little disappointed because I am a Pokemon stan, so I'll die on that
That's
hill.
fine too.
You
It's a
know,
good one.
I'm not here to shit on Yu-Gi-Oh. Because I did go and watch.
Pokemon was too slow for me. I was like, I got this bench. I got these cards on this bench. Why I have this fucking bench?
That's that's fair. I'll listen. If there's anything that I will shill for, I do feel like Yu-Gi-Oh! The card game is better. but I will say like the actual video games Pokemon is
Sure, sure,
crushing it, you know.
of course.
But no, I think I may have liked your answer a little bit more, just again, nerd bias, but I think there's a lot you can take away from it where there's a lot of unfortunately there's a lot of strategy that is involved with making music, right? It's the way that you market it, it's the way that you push it out to people, how interesting can you make it? Why is this band blowing up and my band's not blowing up? What strategies did they use? You
That's
know,
fun. That's fun. I like that dynamic of it. I mean, it's fucked up because it would be a lot easier to be successful as a band, especially like us in the '90s, the early
oh yeah.
2000s, things like that. But it's fun to look at other bands and like just like hyper analyze the theory and the songwriting of like, okay, why is this doing well like this? Oh, I wouldn't normally think this song would do well. Why is it doing well? Let's figure out. Oh, here are a few consistent themes. How could I take that and put it into a Fencer song and still do what we want to do, where we want to be aggressive and I want to scream and I want to use weird time signatures and do weird, stupid gimmicks and stuff, but also keep in mind some of the decisions that a song like this made,
Mhm.
maybe why it's doing well on Spotify or TikTok or whatever. I don't know.
No, I agree with that. I think there's this one band I'm currently listening to a ton, and I'm sure most people that watch my channel know this band, Sleep Token. They are absolutely blowing up on TikTok right now. And prior to them releasing 4 songs, for their new album that's going to be coming out, they like were just relatively unknown, like an unknown like metal kind of metal adjacent sort of band, and they released this song called "The Summoning," and people are like freaking out on TikTok about this song. It's like popping off, and like their monthly like listeners blew up from I think they had like 250,000, and now it's like close to a million or something like that within the span of like maybe a month.
Sure.
And so I kind of am similar to you where I look at that sort of stuff. Again, it probably feeds into my nerdism of being like, I need to know every detail about why this band is doing great and how I can get them on my channel or something. Um, and sorry for the nerd voice, but that's like people know that shit
I
by
love
now. It's
it.
here.
Love it.
You
Made
know,
me feel
I felt like that guy that is from the Yu-Gi-Oh TV show where he has the circular glasses and he's like Yu-Gi, I'm
Rex.
gonna
No, not
Rex.
Rex.
It's not Rex.
Weevil.
Weevil, yeah.
Bug deck. Yeah,
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 the
yeah.
bug deck. Yeah, that's me. That was my best Weevil impression. But
Throwing you Exodia in the ocean.
yeah, good luck. And then Yu-Gi-Oh's like, no,
That's such an
and
asshole.
he fucking jumps into the ocean. No, I am Weevil of the internet. But I do feel like I appreciate I think a lot of bands look at the perspective of like being in a band and they're like, okay, if I write a really great song, that's what's gonna skyrocket me. And I don't want to say that that's out of the
Totally
case.
does.
Certainly that
Man.
does
Yeah.
happen, but I do feel like I appreciate your approach to just being like, this is kind of a game. How can I work out the mechanics of the game so that I can be like the best band out there working the mechanics in the best way that you can do it? So I got to give you guys a lot of kudos. And I think, again, defining you guys as that garage operatic band completely sealed the deal for me. And as again I listened to 2 of the songs, was already hooked. I'm gonna save the rest of the album for the like live review thing, so again that'll already be out by the time this comes out, so definitely go watch it. But I really am excited to see what Fencer does in this year, as well as you should be too, because they're one of the most interesting bands I think I've had on here thus far this year. Obviously, we're only in January, but I would highly guess there's not a band that you would have heard like this in quite a bit. So definitely go give Fencer some love, and then perfect segue to you guys. Obviously, Field, tell them where they can find Fencer at, what you guys have coming up in the next couple months, and anything else you'd like to plug.
Definitely. Well, our album comes out February 3rd. And if you were hearing this past that, it's out. Go listen to it.
Woo!
We have another video coming out, I think, the day before. And then a couple other videos past that. Yeah, that's the main thing. We're gonna have a bunch of new merch. You can find us on all socials at Fencer Band. That's our handle everywhere: Fencerband. So you'll be able to keep up with whatever we're doing there, and it will be angry and manic and blue because that's everything we do. So yeah, please check it out and go watch the Fish Friend video. It's fucking good. Yeah. It's cute.
Oh, great. I love that. Well, guys, go check out Fencer. Again, huge thanks to Costa Nova. I don't even know. I probably butchered that, but
Cosa Nostra. Close.
Cosa Nostra. I listen, guys. You should know by now. I'm not very good at doing this whole pronunciation thing, so I'll just flash their shit up on the screen. But definitely go give them some love. I absolutely love working with them, and they give me great bands like Fencer that you should go check out. Links in the description to find out about the band. Make sure to go pick up the album when it comes out. Make sure to stream the shit out of it. I want to just see everybody like going to bed and then just putting the Fencer album on Spotify while you go to sleep. Perfect album to sleep to.
Now
Arguably,
that though, because I think some kid we know, or not we know, who's into our band in like Missouri or no Michigan, or one of our recent singles, Joseph Courtney, he put it on repeat for so long, for like weeks, that I think Spotify started removing streams from it because they thought it was fraudulent. And I don't know if that affects anything in the back end as far as like playlisting and stuff, but
listen
do
to it enough.
it a little bit. Don't do it too much. Because I'm like, I don't want us to be flagged in the back end by their editors and stuff. Like, oh, these guys are buying streams or something. I'm like, fuck. Because he kept hitting us up and he's like, yo, I've had it on repeat and on YouTube on repeat for like 15 days straight. And I'm like, oh. But anyways, yes, listen to the album, please.
Don't go that. I mean, listen to it, but like in a reasonable amount of time that most people would listen to music. Like, don't go
Every
be
other
fun.
night during a repeat.
Yeah, just listen to it like an hour before you go to bed. It's like a nightly ritual. Just do it like that. Again, all applicable links to Fencer down below. Make sure to comment your favorite city, and they should come to your city. Tell them that in the comments below. Also, if you enjoyed this interview, share, like, and subscribe. It will also be out on audio formats. So if you sit in traffic, which I imagine most of you do, you can listen to it on your car ride home or while you're taking a shit on the toilet, whatever. I don't know what you guys do, but it would be kind of sick to just do that. So
We're
please go
not
check.
here to.
We're not here to judge, exactly. Field and I, not here to judge. But if you do that, great. So go check it out. And again, huge thanks to Field for coming on and chatting with me about Fencer.
Thanks for having me.